Hello and welcome to our series on creating accessible course materials brought to you by the Office of Online Learning at Genesee Community College. In this video, you will learn how to create accessible tables in Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. Let's start with a little information on what makes a table accessible and why these features help learners. Tables are complex because even though the data is presented as text, a lot is conveyed about the meaning of the information by the placement of cells in relation to one another. These visual aspects can be lost for visually impaired students unless we add an accessible replacement for this information. There are three components to making an accessible table. The first component is the way the table is built. You must use a simple table structure, which means no merged or split cells, no blank rows or columns, and no tables nested in a cell of another table. Simple tables make it easier for screen readers to understand the relationship of data in columns and rows, so data can be read to learners in a predictable sequence. Simple tables are also easier for seeing learners to understand because the organization of data is clear. The second component is the header row. This should be the first row in a table where you identify what each column represents. This provides context for the data and assists learners in navigating the table's contents. This helps all types of learners understand what the table conveys. The third component is an alternative text description. Alternative text is text attached to a table that is used to convey the visual aspects and purpose of the table. Commonly, alternative text is used by people with visual impairments as a way to understand more about the table. When using a screen reader, learners will be notified when there is a table, and the screen reader software will read the alternative text title and description to the learner. You should make sure all tables have these three accessible components. This includes tables in PowerPoints, Word documents, and anything you plan to convert to PDF. Currently, the rich text document format does not support alternative text for tables. Consider using a different file format for better accessibility. You can apply these accessible features when you create the document or reformat the tables and documents you already created. Now let's go through the steps to complete each of these accessible features. I will show you how to do this in Word, but the actions are almost identical in PowerPoint. For information on the slight differences in PowerPoint, refer to the text version of the tutorial linked in the video description below. We will start with how to ensure a simple table structure. Let's pretend we're adding a new table. Click Insert, Table, then Insert Table. Type the number of columns and rows, I'll use 3 for each, and click OK. This inserts a simple table. Fill in the heading text and data in the cells. I just have some test data here. You can change the row heights and column widths, colors, border styles, and font options. These changes will still keep this as a simple table. Just do not merge or split cells or paste other tables into the table cells. But what if we already have a table in our document? Let's go through 4 examples of what makes a table complex and how we can correct these issues. Here I have an example of merged cells. The cell that contains the text Topic C is merged between 2 rows. Someone probably did this to convey that Topic C will be covered in both Week 3 and Week 4. This complex structure should be changed so each row has its own topic listed. To do this, we must split the cell. Put your cursor in the cell to split, right-click, and select Split Cells. Change the number of columns and rows as appropriate and click OK. Now I have a blank cell which I will fill in with Topic C, Continued. In this example, I have some split cells where the text Jones article and Smith article appear. It's trying to show that there are 2 articles to read for Week 4. Instead, we should have all readings for a week listed in a single cell. To fix these split cells, we must merge them back into one. Highlight the cells to merge, right-click, and select Merge Cells. I'm going to add a comma here just to make the wording better for students. In this example, the What's Due cell for week 3 contains a nested table. It's supposed to convey that Chapter 3 and Paper 1 are due in week 3. The nested tables are confusing to both seeing learners and to screen readers, so instead, we should list these assignments in a single cell. This is a bit more complex to correct. I will copy the text and paste it into a plain text editor like Notepad. This will keep my text safe for later. Then highlight the nested table cells, right-click, and select Delete Table to remove the nested table. Copy the text from the plain text editor and paste it into the blank cell. Again, I will add a comma to make the wording better. My last example is of blank rows. The empty space under the heading text is actually a blank row with the top border removed. You can tell because when you highlight these cells, it only highlights the space, not the whole heading row. To correct this, you must delete the blank rows and add spacing by changing the row height. I'll select the cells to delete, right-click, and select Delete Cells. In this case, I will select Delete Entire Row and click OK. To adjust the row height, hover over the cell borders until you get a double arrow icon. Click and drag the borders to change the spacing. The same procedure would apply if you had a blank column you needed to remove. Now let's cover how to add the second accessible feature, the header row. Make sure the text in the first row of the table identifies what each column is for. I already have this heading text here, I just need to make sure my document knows it's a heading row. To do this, click anywhere in the table and under Table Tools, click the Design tab. In the Table Style Options group, select the Header Row checkbox. In many cases, it's already selected, so it's okay here. Now for an additional step that just applies to working in Word. We need to ensure the header row appears across pages in case our table goes for more than one page. Select the cells in the top row of the table. Under Table Tools, click the Layout tab. In the Data group, click Repeat Header Rows. This formats the first row as a heading row. So on to the third accessible feature, adding the alternative text description. Right-click anywhere in the table and select Table Properties. Click Alt Text. In the title field, type a short phrase to indicate what the table shows. You can write something similar to what you would use if providing a caption for the table. In my case, I have a course schedule, so I will use Course Schedule by Week. In the description field, type a longer explanation that describes the function of the table and any information conveyed by the way the table is organized. If it's not already apparent by the column headers or cells, include a description of the type of data used in each row or column. I'm going to use Course Schedule by Week, indicating what the topic is for that week, and reading an assignment due by the end of the week. When finished, click OK. These are the basic steps for creating simple tables, adding a heading row to tables, and adding alternative text to tables. For troubleshooting and additional tips, refer to the text version of this tutorial linked in the video description below. If you have any questions, please contact us by email at gcconline@genesee.edu, by phone at 585-345-6969, or stop in our office on the Batavia campus in room T148. And check out our other tutorials for more information on making accessible course materials.